What's up, Facebook? Let's try this again. Somehow we lost our connection. Hope y'all are having an amazing day. As y'all join back in here, I'd love to know 3 things that you are grateful for this morning. Also love to know where you're tuning in from. So far, we've had people tune in from Australia, the Ukraine, the UK, Italy yesterday, all over the US, Canada, Central and South America. So where you're tuning in from, please leave it in the comments. Love to know where we're reaching and who's tuning into these. Today we're going to talk about just a very, very, very simple process and concept to think about every single day. And it has more to do with when you're planning and organizing your life, when you're figuring out what to focus on, what to do, and what's most important every single day. Every day, most people out there are generally going to have to focus in on work as their main focus for the day. So that's going to take up a good, 8 to 10 hours, depending on what you do. If you own your business, maybe more. But besides that, how do you decide where to put your focus? How do you decide where to put your time? How do you decide what's most important to you? And throughout these series of talking to you, I see the number going up here. So as you all are tuning in, I'd love to know, 1, where you're tuning in from. 2, I'd love to know 3 things that you're grateful for. Now, for those of you who are tuning in, Rob, good morning from Austin, Texas. Kevin, top of the morning to you. Afternoon there. Love to know 3 things you're grateful for, as well as where you're tuning in from. For everyone else who's piling in here, I see the number going up. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Today we're talking about really simple, just how to plan as if you're going to live forever, meaning what do you do to really protect your assets, and what do you do to prepare mentally, emotionally, physically? Rich, good morning. What do you do to prepare and really look at life as if it's going to just keep going on? And an illusion is you'll live forever, although depending on what books you read, there's a book called The Age of the Spiritual Machine that I read a long time ago. It's a thick book, and it's worth reading. And it talks about, due to nanotechnology, due to gene splicing, and the speed at which microchips are getting shrunken down, it talks about a point in history where they'll be able to start replacing so many human parts. And right now in this point in history, they have the ability to 3D print a miniature version of a human heart that beats on its own for like up to a minute. It's really remarkable. And if they can start to create those pieces, and it's not creating one and then putting it in a separate body, it's taking your DNA code, it's splicing it off, it's putting it in a machine, and it's printing your heart or a small version of it. And what's remarkable at Washington State, awesome. What's remarkable, at some point in the future, they're going to be able to reprint a new eyeball, a new lung, a new heart, new veins, all kinds of stuff. And as they're able to recreate these, they'll be able to replace them in the human body. And I don't know if it'll be in my lifetime, but certainly in the next generation lifetime. Let me move. There's too much noise going on here. But certainly in the next generation lifetime, there'll be a point in history when, and this is something really truly to consider and think through, because it's a bold statement, it's a big statement. And every time I've heard a gentleman talk about this statement, it causes a whole lot of controversy in the world. And it challenges most people's fundamental beliefs of what they build their life on. David, good morning. But there'll be a point in history where they'll be able to replace so many pieces and parts of the human that death at that point no longer becomes mandatory but an option. Meaning if you can replace all the parts and keep the physical body running, it doesn't have to die. It can physically keep going, which comes into question, what is the human soul? What comes into question, what is life about? Why are we here? It comes into question, many people view this as trying to play God as a human species and replace the human life form. And then what's the difference between a spirit, a soul, and a human being? And these are some pretty deep questions when you have to sit down and think about them. And I'm just saying, how would you approach your life differently if that did happen? Meaning if it came time in history, and who knows if it will, but if it does, where they were literally able to replace any part in the human body. Meaning if your heart went bad, they gave you a brand new version of your own heart. They printed it out with your DNA. They made it. If your lung went bad, they got you a new lung. If your eyes went bad, they got you a new set of eyes. And if they were able to replace every part of you as a person, and death became an option, my question is, would you approach your life differently every single day? How would you approach what you choose to do as your job? How would you approach what you choose to do with your family? How would you approach your health? Now, some people I've talked to, when you ask them this question, it becomes a really interesting question because they think about it and they're like, wow, if I could just be as crazy as I wanted to and replace anything, there's pretty much no consequence to how I live. Wow, I would try everything. And some people would just go off the deep end and literally put themselves in every crazy situation you could possibly imagine. Other people I've talked to said, wow, I guess I might take a little bit more risk. I might travel a little bit more. I might spend more time doing things I love, because if I could just keep going, I guess I could fix stuff if it didn't happen the way I wanted it to. And so it's interesting, to piggyback on what we were talking about yesterday, which was resources. If you didn't watch yesterday's, please go back and watch it. Seems to be popular. It's already got about 3,500 views this morning, I checked. And it's moving quick. And we were talking about your resources and how you allocate them. And resource being time. If you had an unlimited amount of time, how would you allocate your time? Where would you focus? What would you do? How would you invest your life if you literally had an unlimited amount of time? Now, if you were to flip this question, and this one gets asked all the time, but if you realized you had a very limited amount of time, how would you invest your time? How would you invest? Ben, good to hear from you. Sorry we missed you. Good to see you on here. If you had a limited amount of time, how would you invest it? Where would you invest it? What would you do? And how would you treat it? And this theory of time as an investment, life, really truly messes with people's foundational beliefs, and it shows you and alludes to what your values are. But really truly think about it. If you literally had an unlimited amount of time, how would you approach your day-to-day life? And some people think it'd be the greatest gift on earth. Some people think it'd be a radical curse. I remember when I was growing up, there was a TV show. I'm trying to remember what it was called. But it was this guy who basically never died. And he just lived generation after generation after generation. And he was this like warrior of time. And it was beautiful because you got to see this guy live fully and protect so many people and do all these crazy, amazing things. But I remember there was this like hollowness to it because he had to watch so many people he loved and cared about pass away throughout the generations. And there was this kind of lone wolf aspect if he had to be out on his own, because no matter how much he tried to love someone, he knew it would always end because he would keep living and they wouldn't. So just a thought to consider today. Now, going back all the way to the beginning, if you found out that you were going to live for 100, 200, 300, 400 years, what would you plan into those years? And speaking about life planning, the way I would look at this is start at the very end. Say, hey, if I'm going to make it to 100, which a lot of people are nowadays, if I'm going to make it to 100, what do I want to do in each major chunk of my life? Meaning, let's say you're 40 years old right now, so that means you've got 60 years to go. You've got 6 10-year chunks of your life. If you were to chunk out these 10-year chunks of your life, what would be the major theme you would choose for each chunk? Meaning for 40 to 50, what theme would you give it? Bless you. What theme would you give that chunk of your life? Would it be all about health and nutrition? Would it all be about wealth? Would it be about emotions? Would it be about mastering your relationships? What would it be? And if you think about a 10-year chunk of time, you can get a PhD in 10 years. Meaning do 4 years of undergrad studying on a certain topic and maybe liberal arts, so all kinds of topics. Do another, 4 or 5, 6 years there on really truly mastering something and getting your PhD in the topic. So if you were to take these chunks of your life in 10-year periods of time and you were to start mapping them out, what major themes would exist in each 10-year period of your life that you said, listen, for this 10 years, I'm legitimately going to master. I'm going to go out and get my PhD in this subject. I'm going to study it. I'm going to practice it. I'm going to research it. I'm going to test it. I'm going to examine it. I'm going to find out so much about this one topic over this 10-year period of time that literally after 10 years, if a good family member or friend came to me, I would feel researched enough, educated enough, and grounded enough in the topic that I could clearly and easily direct them in what to do and how to do this topic. Now, is 10 years enough? Who knows? But if you were to take 10-year chunks of your life like that and really focus it on one major element of life, you'd be remarkably sound and have a really, really remarkable foundation set in whatever category you focused on. Now, here's the interesting part. A lot of people do this. That's why they go to standard education. They go get their degree in something. But then what happens is when it comes time to enter the next 10-year chunk of life, a lot of people get afraid because they don't want to be the beginner again. They've invested so much life. They've gained so much status. They have so much a foundation, and they've gained so much footing in whatever they've mastered and gotten their PhD in and really truly understand that all of a sudden when it comes time to become a novice again, they get scared. They don't want to lose their identity. They don't want to lose their status. They don't want to lose, how they feel when they walk through a room and everyone looks up to them because they're so knowledgeable and talented in this subject. But all of a sudden, if you're willing to become a novice again and remember what it's like to start over and remember what it's like to have to earn your way back up to that footing and foundation to really, truly understand something at a deep level, if you're willing to go through that entry-level process again, you can start the second 10-year period to master the next area of your life and then repeat it. And think about this. If you were to put these in order, I don't know what you're into, but for me, if I was going to dedicate the first 10 years of life to something, I'd dedicate it to health. Just because nowadays with research going on, you can live longer and longer and longer. And if you don't know how to master your health personally from the inside out and get yourself to be the most functional, vibrant, healthy version of who you are, you're going to be in trouble as life goes further and further. Second, I'm trying to think beyond health. There's emotions and relationships. Well, they're so important. But when people are young, for some reason, they get so caught up on money and business. It seems like, if I don't make enough, I'll never be able to have what I really want in life. So possibly, realistically speaking, I would choose relationships. But realistically, a lot of people, after they master their health, might go straight after business, straight after money. How do I earn income? How do I produce wealth, financial wealth at least? And as they do that, they're going to hit a stage of life where all of a sudden if you spent 10 years mastering this subject, really studying it, not just working for somebody, but literally studying wealth, studying how to make financial abundance in your life, how to create it, where to get it from, how to drive it, how to grow it, how to protect it, how to invest it. If you spent 10 years studying the tar out of that topic, I'm guessing you could be incredibly effective. Well, you probably need to invest more, but not at the same intensity after that 10-year period of time. So if you mastered your health, learned how to put that into autopilot, mastered finances, learn how to get that moving in your direction. Then from there, probably relationships truly and realistically become the next important factor, because now usually these people have so much abundance in their life. They feel so healthy. They have so much financial wealth around, and they feel kind of lonely and bored if they don't have someone to share it with, which is the God honest truth. You can have everything in the world, and if you don't have someone to share it with, it's going to feel empty. So in that moment, all of a sudden they transition to, wow, how do I make this magical relationship thing happen? How do I become a novice again? How do I study this at a deep and profound level, understand as much as humanly possible for a 5-10 year period of time? And I think it's a never-ending process of learning and growing in that area. But all of a sudden they start investing in relationships, and it's like, wow, I've got to really, really master this subject and constantly be reading and growing and studying. And again, if we're talking about 10-year periods of your life, if you invested 10 years into mastering the topic of relationships, I'm guessing you would become a pretty profound expert on the topic, and you'd know who to go to, where to go to, what to read, what topics to pull up, what information to grab, and how to apply it in day-to-day life, and how to help most other people apply it too. Does it mean you know everything? Of course not. But you know enough to be incredibly effective at the topic. So my challenge to you is take some time, and I realize it's the beginning of the morning for a lot of people on here, so you're probably headed to work or just getting to work, but take some time to write down in a journal, if you were to look at life in 10-year periods of time from this point forward, what major theme or topic would you say the first 10 years is all about for you, the next 10 years, the 10 years after that? And if you look 20, 30, 40 years into the future, what themes and what order would you put them in? Once you have the themes and once you have the order that you put them in, Martin, good morning. Love to know, for everyone who's just joining us, love to know 3 things you're grateful for, and love to know where you're tuning in from. So far we're getting Italy, South America, Central America. We've had Canada, North America, or the United States. We've had Tokyo tune in. We've had, I think, Russia or Ukraine. Someone popped over from there, Belarus maybe. So love to know where you're tuning. Australia's popped up a few times. So love to know where you're tuning in from and 3 things you're grateful for. But as you're tuning in, what we're talking about, if you go back and watch the review of this, it's something we do with our coaches and overall helping our clients do life planning. And this is something we cover in Performance Coach University. It's our training program for coaches. But when we do that, we talk about how to help people plan out the next 5, 10, 20, 30, 40. Savon, good morning. 5, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years of their life, and how to help them theme each major chunk of their life, and then figure out how to put together a curriculum for themselves. What books are you going to read? What classes are you going to take? Alex, good morning. Glad to hear. Memphis, Tennessee. All right. What classes you're going to take, what books you're going to read, what programs you attend, what things you're going to listen to, what things you're going to watch. and theme a major category of your life so that within a 10-year period of time, you become educated enough to have somewhat of a PhD thought process in that topic, meaning you know it so well, you could train other people on it easily and effortlessly. So that's today's topic. That's today's challenge. Take out a pen and paper. Map out the major chunks you'd want to focus your life on in 5 or 10-year periods of time. Ideally, 10 years would be a huge investment. No, still freezing up. Hello, Montreal. Hopefully, you can go back and watch the replay of this and it won't freeze up. Sorry if it is. But go back, map out the next, let's say, 20, 30 years of your life. So that's 2 to 3 10-year periods of time. And for each chunk of 10 years, Rich, glad to hear you're 6 feet above ground, hopefully still growing. Map out the 10-year chunks of your life. Once you have, Montreal, right. Once you have the 10-year chunks of your life, San Diego, hey, Carrie. Once you have those 10-year chunks of your life mapped out, from that point, chunk them down into main themes of what you're going to study and what you're going to master as a topic or subject in your life. From there, put together your personal curriculum, what you're going to read, what you're going to learn, what classes you might attend, what degrees you might want to get, but how you're going to educate yourself on the topic so that you have your own version of a PhD on that topic, so that if someone came to you 10 years after you're studying, you'd be able to guide them, with much confidence on the topic itself. Have fun with this. If you know someone who needs this conversation, please hit the share button. Please pass it on to them. Please let them know that they should tune in and check it out. And also, if you didn't see yesterday's broadcast from the car, you might want to check it out. It's a very good one on how to invest your resources and prepare. Anyways, hope you have an amazing day. I'm going to get to work, and I'll see y'all tomorrow. Bye.